Welcome everyone to my YouTube channel, and here today we have a lesson that we will give to those who want to teach their kids or anyone who does not know how to read. So we know that many learners are struggling with their reading, and I'm going to share a few tips that will help you on how to deal with children who are struggling how to read. This will be one of our many other lessons that we will have that will help us to fight the battle of our learners not knowing how to read. Okay, let's start. So, we are going to focus on the ways which we can help our children read. So, there are many different approaches where you can help a child who is experiencing problems in reading. So let's go through a few of them. So before you could help someone, if someone has a problem, before you can just go and help, you need to find out what the problem is. So we need to identify their specific reading difficulties. It could be phonics. Maybe the learner does not know how to pronounce certain letters and so on. It could be comprehension. The child just reads but doesn't understand what he or she is reading. Or fluency. Our children some may be able to know how to read but not fluently. So we are going to go step by step, starting with the phonics, right? Teaching the sound letters and sound letters make and how they blend. So we can often use maybe games and hands-on activities to help our kids to read and to know the sounds of the letters. We have a lot of letters, so we need to be very careful that they know how these letters are written. When the child immediately sees A and how it is written, they should know how that A looks like. So for these hands-on games, you can maybe give them alphabets that they can touch, and then they take different alphabets which they can touch, like objects. Then they put it together. There are different alphabets they are laying around, and then the child will just take, maybe you ask them to make a word apple. Then they will take the A-P-P-L-E and they have to put it together. Okay, let's go to the phonics. We know that we have alphabets. So, like I was saying in my previous slides, the child needs to know how the letter looks like. How do I write A? How do we pronounce A? So you go to the child and you show the child A. This is A. And the child has to say the word A by looking at the word A. Or we can always say E, B, K, D, E, F, J, H, A, Ch, K, H, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. That will help the child to know how to, when we do that, when we pronounce these alphabets like that, it's much easier for a child to take those alphabets and formulate a word. Then you ask a child, can you write cat, like the game that I gave before? You give them those objects of the alphabet. You juggle the alphabets around, and the child needs to take. Where is K boy? K. Remember when you say cat, K, cat, and then the child will say K, E, T, cat. And that will make it easier for the child to be able to even formulate words. And let's go to the next one. If the child, like we said in the previous slide, if the child can take alphabets, put it together, and formulate words, then it will be easier for the child to be able to read. So we first start with phonics. They know how how the alphabets are being pronounced. E for apple. They know how to formulate the word apple. They know how to formulate the word cat. They know how to formulate the word take. All these different kinds of words. So then now you give to them a text to read, because now they already know, okay, when I put this word and that word together, it gives me this. When I put this alphabets together, it gives me this. So now you give them a text, that not a long text like I gave here, just a simple small text that they will be able to read. Remember, now you are teaching them to read, but you don't just want your learners to know how to read, but they don't understand what they're reading. It's always good that when they read, they know exactly what they are reading. And for an example, we always put questions. As you can see, I have placed a few questions here. And these questions are based on the text that the learners or the child or whoever you are teaching to read to understand. These questions will be based on the text that they will be reading. Then we go to fluency. Now the child is able to put the alphabets together. The child is able to formulate words. The child is able to read with understanding. And now we want to check how fluent the child will be reading. Oral reading fluency includes 3 parts. Accuracy, reading with few errors. You check, give the child the text like we gave the child for the comprehension text. You check, how does the child read? How many errors? That's where you find the problem as well. You fix it immediately. And then from there, when the child is reading with no error, the reading is accurate, then we go to the speed, the rate at which a student reads. If the child starts reading at this, they will always start reading very slowly, because remember, when a child starts reading, they will look at the alphabets and then try to combine the alphabets to make it a word. So if we give them a text to read, remember their reading is accurate. Now that we want their speed to pull up, we need to be patient. Be patient with the child. Give them a moment to look at the word, read. And then after some time, you ask the child, how about you try reading a bit faster? Now they already know the words and everything. They are not just making a song, because some they just look at the text because they read it multiple times. So they look at the text and they will just start singing the text because they already memorized it. But it is also important that you give them different kind of texts so that we can see that now they are able to read and they are not just memorizing the story and just saying it just the way it is. The skill of reading aloud with proper intonation, phrasing, and expression. So when the child reads, should be able to express themselves. Read with expression. If the text, wherever it is, it says wow, the child will not say wow, but wow, especially if there's an exclamation mark, and it makes reading more fun. So now let's talk about the last one. Tailor your teaching to their needs. Use their interest to motivate them. Remember, a child wants something that is fun. So we need to make reading to be fun for them, especially when we choose different texts that we want to use for children. So now you want to motivate the child to love reading. So now you are going to look for a text that will make this child to love reading. Don't take a text that will talk about old things if the child is only 5 years old. Don't take a text that will talk about houses or whatever. Talk about something that will interest the learner, that will arouse the learner's curiosity. Oh, what will this about? That will entertain the learner. When the child reads about a boy who was playing soccer, the boy who scored the goal, and how the crowd was jumping and shouting, the child is going to be so amazed because boys love soccer. Try to choose text. Maybe if you want, you are teaching a girl to read, choose a text that speaks about dolls or something, and interact. Let them interact in that story that you are reading. It's very important that you create that entertainment for them. And that's what a few things that I loved showing you, and I believe it will help each one of you to be able to help the children that are struggling to read. Maybe it might not be a child as small as a 5-year old, 6-year old, 7-year old, but sometimes it could be a 12 years old, a 13-year old, and you are wondering, how am I going to help? Here are a few tips, and I'll make sure that I bring a few more. So we will continue again in the next video that I will upload. Stay tuned and never miss. See you then.